Welcome back to CS195 Web Development. We are in week 10, DOM events. We are going to go ahead and do a quick review of everything we went over for all of JavaScript, and then of course a little bit of HTML as we're going through this. But the key is kind of getting through all of this, how you can just manipulate the DOM, right? That's kind of the concept as we go through all of this. So let's just go ahead and give ourselves a header. We'll give ourselves an ID so we can use it later. And then we'll create a list as well, just to give us some stuff to work with, right? So we'll call this header. And then let's create an unordered list real quick, so we can go through and check out how to work it. So again, remember, standard HTML tags, gave ourselves an attribute, the ID header, and then I'm just going to copy this a few times. And we'll do a little bit of style, so add the style tag. And if you need to pause this at any time because I'm going too fast, by all means go ahead and pause this to catch up to type. But right now all I'm doing is the setup, right? So we got a style, got a heading so we can change it, some UL so we can change them. And then we need to add our script tags. Remember, style goes in the head, script goes at the very bottom because everything needs to exist first before we can use it. Alright, now we have all of our pieces. We're going to show this all in one line at first, where we're going to select and change the header, and then we're going to go ahead and use the variable method where we store the element as a variable so we can loop through this and change it. So, and then we're going to make it so we can change everything at once. So let's go ahead. The very last thing we're going to do above the script, add the button tag, and then click me or else. And we got to give it an ID too, so equal or ID equals ETN. Sounds like a good one for now. And let's go ahead and do all kinds of different things. So we're gonna change stuff, and then we're gonna move everything. We're gonna show you how to change these things, and then we're gonna move everything into an event listener when we're all done. So document.get element by ID. Remember, we're going to do this one all on one line, and we're going to get the header dot, and let's go ahead and do inner HTML, and then it's going to say hi back. All right, so that changed inner HTML so far. Let's push this over some more, so I'll just stop scrolling. And now we're going to select all of the LIs, So var li ls, that's going to be fun to say. Remember s, because there's more than one, equals document dot get elements, again more than one, by tag name, right? Equals, not equals, parentheses, quotes, li, because we're getting the LIs. And we're going to go ahead and create that for loop, remember. So now we need to, I don't want to use scooching over, we got to do our for loop. So the syntax for the for loop is for var, parentheses, var I equals 0. So remember, arrays start at 0, or HTML collections start at 0 as well. I is less than, we're going to get the length of LILs dot length. So right now there's 3 of them, so it'll go from 0 to 2 because 3 is not less than 3, and then that happens to be the indexes of the 3 items, 0, 1, and 2. So let's go ahead and semicolon that, I++, squiggly bracket, enter. And now we can just do our LILs, but we can't just do dot change it. We have to use the bracket notation because, again, it's a list. We put I in there because that changes every time. If I put 0 in there, let's go ahead and do that for example purposes. 0, and then let's go ahead and do style.color equals green. All right, notice only the first one changed. It changed 3 times, but it's the only thing that changed. We need to change this to I, and now all 3 of them changed. All right, so that's a simple access, right? We can access an ID, we can change inner HTML, we change style, we change source, any kind of attributes. So now we're going to add our event listener. So we're going to listen for the button, click, and again, I like doing that all in one line. So document.getElement by ID, and there's no S there because we're just getting the one, and it's btn dot add event listener, and then there's 2 things that go in there. So far everything was 1, right? Header, li, just what is it? But this one we need to say what is it listening for and what is it going to run. So we're going to listen for a click. Wow. And then we're going to comma. And remember that's in quotes, and this one is not in quotes. So we're going to call the function change me. No parentheses after that because we don't actually want to call it here. We just want to have it run it. And now we're going to create that function. So function change me squiggly bracket enter. And what we're going to do is just go ahead and take all of this, Control X, paste it into here. Now you can see how this didn't indent for us because it wasn't indented up here. If you just highlight it all and hit tab, now all of this is not going to change until we click this. And because we can, let's go ahead and add one more. Document.body.style.background equals red. Boom. So now we added one more thing. It's going to change everything that we've already changed, and the whole background is going to turn red. So this changes everything, pretty much. So that is the big gist of it. We could still have styles up here if we wanted to, but at the end of the day, to use JavaScript to modify everything, you got to select it, and then you can change it. And if you want it to be reactive, you have to put it inside of a function and then add an event listener so that when some kind of event happens, it changes everything. And that's pretty much a summary of most of what you need to know in JavaScript. Google is your buddy to find all kinds of other things, some if statements and whatnot. We didn't unfortunately get time to get into adding text boxes, and then if there's you can actually grab the information from a text box. So there's all kinds of fun stuff that you can do with this. Let's go ahead and do a text box real quick. So the input for it, or the tag for it, is just input. This one doesn't actually close. Type equals text, and then you still need to give an ID. So you can select it and what's inside of it. We'll just say info. If you change this to, so this types, if you change this to password, then it acts like a password. But we don't want it to be a password, and then Google thinks it's a password, so it tries to ask password. So here is something very important about this right here. If you get the information from it, var my info equals document.getElement by ID dot value. That's how you get the value. This gets it as soon as the page loads, right? If you get it here, you're getting on page load. So what you need to do is put that inside of your function. And then that way, if they type in something, it'll get it as of the click. Otherwise, if you get it up here and then click and you're trying to do something, like let's just go ahead and just whatever they have in there, so my info, whatever they type in here, we're going to make that become the header. That's what's changing. So var my info equals the value of, not btn though, of info. So whatever's in this text box is going to get put into the header. So let's go ahead and test that. And there you go. So whatever and this will actually, and this is the nice thing about some of these, like all the other changes we did are done, right? The red, the green, but now this is every single time I change this, it's going to actually interact with it. So that's how you grab the info. It's dot value. And you just got to make sure that you do it inside the function. Otherwise, it's going to grab it as soon as the page loads. But again, I just hit enter to refresh it. So right now, if I had it on side, it grab it, but there's nothing in there. So that is our review. Have a great evening.